describing an underwater UFO as large as a football field, moving at hundreds of miles per hour underwater.
Have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Aliens exist and President Trump knows about it.
The United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology.
We are not all to be traced back to one blob of germplasm.
And the implant is finally removed.
There's no evidence how the object got inside the body.
Can you comment on the drones?
Our military knows where they took off from. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Hello guys, what's up? Sorry for the delay. I had to sort something out, man. Because I'm not happy with my streaming overlay, really. Because I never streamed before, I had this kind of cheap looking overlay, which is alrightish, but I didn't like it too much. At this point, I feel like a very, very simple one is something I prefer. So, if you see my last videos, I was having a way more simple looking thing, where it's just me on the side. So I was trying to set up the thing. It's always a bit tricky. So anyways, yeah man, today we're gonna look into the Roswell case that you probably all know about. I gotta be honest with you though. So first of all, I'm very, very happy that you're here. In case you're watching, thanks for being around, man. And in case you didn't do so, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and say hello, man. Welcome to the fam. Thank you. So, let's continue. Roswell case. I never dug very, very deep into the Roswell case. Because, you know, at this point it's kind of this case everybody knows about. So it's always kind of makes me not being interested in it too much. If it's already something everybody knows about, everybody was talking about. So I never heard all the details about this case, gotta be honest with you. So I guess I'm gonna learn a lot from this interview. And it's an interesting one, because it's about this boy. Well, not this boy, it's actually about Philip J. Corso, right? And Philip J. Corso is an now very, very old retired US Army lieutenant, colonel and intelligence officer who became well known in UFO and conspiracy circles for his controversial claims about extraterrestrial technology recovered from the 1947 Roswell incident. Pretty interesting. So he said, or it is said, right, that he personally handled debris and artifacts from the crash while at the Pentagon in the early 1960s. Other things, the US government recovered an extraterrestrial spacecraft and at least one alien body, which he claimed to have seen at Fort Riley, Kansas. And he was tasked with secretly ceding the alien technology to American corporations, probably Lockheed Martin and stuff like that, you know. We all know who the companies are that we're talking about, you know, or that they are talking about. And research labs for reverse engineering. This process supposedly led to major technology breakthroughs, including integrated circuits, microchips, fiber optics, lasers, night vision, Kevlar, and other advancements, framed as a way to give the US an edge during the Cold War. So this is interesting because I'm always pretty much, you know, asking myself, and there are those theories out, if Roswell might have been just some psyop. As we can see in Disclosure Days, so Spielberg is bringing up this idea as well, that maybe the technology is actually not from some outer species, you know? So maybe we had that technology all along, but they just, didn't want to tell us. So maybe let's just blame the aliens, so we have something to think about, something to talk about, something to be entertained. But imagine you had that technology all the time, basically, right? But you're just keeping people distracted, so they're not asking the right questions. But I feel like we're getting closer, man, because things are changing. Now J.D. Vance is actually talking about aliens might be demons. I'm not buying into this whole demon thing, because define demon, man. Thinking that we all are coming from the same source in the end, if you go like read a high perspective, we're all coming from the same thing. So they are no real demons. I feel like demons are the thing that we create on our own. So why judge other beings? I feel like we are not the only beings that we should consider, we shouldn't consider ourselves being the only species being connected to the source. Maybe there are beings that, like, in a way you cannot not be connected to the source if everything is coming out of one thing in the end, you know what I mean? In a way, it's all a big trip that we're experiencing. So if we are telling ourselves, oh, those are demons, they are separate from God, in the end, he's not. Maybe in this experience, it is appearing to us as if, but in reality, it's not really the case. So I gotta say, I'm also not I'm not a religious person in the, how would you say, in the way people consider themselves being religious, so not Christian and anything like that. I feel like, in a way, I am religious, but just in my own religion, So, yeah, man, let them be. Let's see who they are, man. And it's gonna be interesting because I think they're talking about actually time travel, and I did hear about the theory as well a long time ago, that the gray ones are actually future humans that disconnected themselves from the source in a way, just diving way too deep into this whole technology thing. And we are right on the verge, AI is rising like crazy. So this is not something that is unfamiliar. So it's very, very familiar in a way. And I mean, I do see a lot of people starting to think less and less, dude, always asking like ChatGPT and stuff for everything and not thinking for themselves. And they take the opinion of ChatGPT so serious, like as if it would come from an experienced human being. Like AI is telling them something and then they're like, dude, but I mean, AI told me I had to do so that's why I did. And like, dude, yeah, but it's just a summarization that sounds good, but in the end, it's just pure AI BS gathered in the net. So, man, we can already see that some human beings tend to really fall into this, transhumanistic thing, and they like it. And I don't judge, man. I also use it, but I always keep this kind of distance, Take it with a grain of salt, man. So let's not stop thinking. And I will stop talking for a little bit, and I hope you're gonna enjoy the video. So let's hop into the stream. See if everything is ready. Looking good though. So let's go. Say hello if you're here, man.
Hi guys, and welcome to another edition of the Kevin Moore Show. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Phil Corso Jr. Now Phil is the son of Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso and a public speaker on the subjects of ufology, carrying on the legacy of his father's work, the late Philip J. Corso. Now Philip J. Corso was a member of President Eisenhower's National Security Council and former head of the Foreign Technology Desk at the United States Army's Research and Development Department. Now Philip J. Corso came forward to reveal his personal stewardship of alien artifacts from the Roswell crash in his book, The Day After Roswell. Now he tells in that book how he spearheaded the Army's reverse engineering project that led to today's integrated circuits, fiber optics and lasers, Kevlar and more, and how he spearheaded and seeded the Roswell alien technology to the giants of American industry. So enjoy my interview with Phil. Well, Phil, thank you for letting me interview you here in your home in Florida. This has been many years in the making to have this interview. I didn't I didn't even think I'd be sat with you right now because I'd wanted to interview you, but I had no aspirations of coming to Florida right now on my journey because it was just, I've just been everywhere else. But synchronicity has aligned us where I'm here. You said yes at the last minute, and you know you've just finished your latter career. And what was that, just to let the audience know?
I ran a business for 25 years called High Speed Composites, and I built composite aircraft, experimentals.
And you weren't really up for talking about any of this when I first contacted you a few years ago.
That's right. In fact, I think I almost gave you the brush off, which I apologize, but there are reasons for that.
Yes.
I was very busy, and it was a secondary, and there was so much stuff that went on negative that our family had just decided to
enough was enough.
Set it aside. Yeah.
So if we're to sum up in a few words, what is it your dad was famous for?
Well, my dad was famous for not the UFO, but for his work within the government behind the scenes.
Oh, hello, Anthony Goldman. First guy saying hello. I appreciate you being in the stream, Aji. Thank you for being around. So the day after Roswell, gotta give it a read, man. I'm like buying all the books to get into it. Also reading the Hastings books, man. UFOs and nukes, pretty interesting stuff. Kinda hard to read at times, but very interesting.
And the book was never meant to be. My dad was writing his memoirs, and I ran a small business at that time, marine electronics, and he would sit at the desk and take the phone calls while I'd be out working on the yachts. And sometimes it was really funny. President Reagan would call him and he'd stand at attention behind the desk. But
so you had famous calls coming in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was number one for several presidents on Russia. And like one of the KGB after the wall came down said my father knew more about, the KGB said my father knew more about them than they did. You know, so he was many times called into action even in his retirement. But the book was never meant to be, but a fella in Vegas named George Knapp, my father, we got turned down 11 times on his memoir book. Nobody wanted an old soldier's memoirs. And there was one paragraph in there that said, when I was in R&D, I planted alien technology and such like that. So George Knapp picked up on that, and that's how the book came into being.
Now, when you first saw those couple of lines in there, what did you think why Dad had put that in there? If he'd never spoken about that before?
That's correct. Never.
What did you think when you first saw those lines?
And I was always interested in UFOs and airplanes and such like that, you know. So I was overwhelmed. You know, I didn't believe it.
Even though you had an interest in ufology when you were younger, you still didn't believe what your dad had put in there?
Well, I came to a reasoning afterwards that I did believe it, and it's very simple. I had a set of photographs that I had taken in Fort Bliss of UFOs, and he always didn't like that. Finally took them away from me. What? So before the book was written, right before the book was written, I was sitting with a Captain Loseley down in Lantana Boatyard, and we were eating lunch with my father. And my father, I asked him for the pictures. So he blushed it off that he had given it to General Salmon, he had given it to Gene Dixon or whatever, and they were gone. And I wanted them back. So my father gets up to go to the restroom, and David says he was black belt, and he would read the respirations in the eye. He says, your father's went up to 180 or something, and you shouldn't ask him any more about these UFOs and such like that. So that was the first hint that maybe something. So when I put that together afterwards, I began believing the story.
And let's just summarize it quickly just here at this moment. Your dad helped to put into R&D departments of companies out there technology that eventually became fiber optics, Kevlar, night vision, transistor, and maybe a few other
integrated
things.
Circuit, not transistor.
Integrated circuit. So the transistor was already around before.
Another thing is that this is something also that in the Third Reich, right? People were talking about that Hitler also was in contact with his, how do you call it? Channeling women, like the Vril guys, the real, I don't know how you call it in English though. German is like Vril-Gesellschaft, right? So the Vril community, that they were in contact with higher beings and channeling them, the technology, which is where they got their knowledge for the flying saucers and stuff. So this is something that has been around for a long time. Talking about Vimanas also. So it's something that is around in human history for a long time. So that's what I mean. Like, is it something new that they really had this Roswell crash, or was it already there the whole time? So let's keep watching. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
And so when this transistor was given to the right type of company, it didn't seem like it came out of the complete under extraordinary. That that maybe
right.
Yeah.
Well, you remember these to cut you off for a second before I forget. The transistor radio came out with 6 transistors. Well, within a 3-year period, we had integrated circuits. Scientists came to our house, like Al Pudolph, Chuck Green, and they said, "We know better. It doesn't happen in 3 years." So they came to the house to understand, after the book was written, how did these advancements from a laser that is as big as this room here to a pencil-sized one within 3 years.
That makes sense, though. I always ask myself that too. Like, how do we get from like a PC computer being as big as a room to this? It's like kind of sus, gotta say, but maybe not. Listening to this guy, apparently that's how it came.
These scientists knew that something was up.
But would you go along with this statement that even that technology that they've still got now, some of these companies, they still don't really understand what they've got?
No, because if you went back to Leonardo da Vinci and gave him a calculator watch or one of the new, how would he be able to use it?
Even after a century later, he still wouldn't be able to. We weren't ready for that.
Right.
So, okay.
My father says the most important issue that they were after, anybody that even hinted that they had a path to this direction, would be what he calls nuclear alignment, which nowadays we are just getting to that point now with the single strand of carbon that produces a voltage from the wave pattern, single atom. So that's what my father and General Trudeau's #1 mandate was, nuclear alignment, which the extra biological suit was made out of.
Just again, describe what could come from that type of technology. Anything?
Oh, from that type of technology, it would be revolutionary, because we would have shielding and we could travel in space. As of now, my father says we cannot travel in space because of the radiation. It's lights out. And NASA is now beginning to say that by the radium-3 moon dust that they're going to put 6 feet around the craft. They're going to go underground on Mars and stuff. They know this, and they've known it for some time.
I gotta be back in a second. I gotta jump to the toilet. I'm so sorry, guys. Should have done that before. I'll be back in 1 sec. Give me time. All right. Let's continue. It's getting so interesting, man. I'm already in. Dude, I can tell already it's going to be a very good one.
And so has the military.
So once we get past the Van Halen belt, is that what it's called? Van
Allen belt.
Van Allen, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
A second one was found, but they call it my dad termed it as friendly space. The gravitational fields between the Earth and the Moon. Once we get beyond that, lights are out. We can go to the Moon as humans, but not beyond that with our present technologies.
We do become, we the degradation in, bones of astronauts that have spent time on the ISS.
And mentally.
They've done the long-term studies. I mean, what were the ramifications of the astronauts that went to the Moon? I'm guessing they were quite ill on the way back, maybe.
Well, we know Edgar Mitchell. We met him quite well. And he had an epiphany, he called it, on re-entering the Earth. And
Kundalini, was it?
And he did understand thoroughly that there were others and that we are very limited from my private conversations with him in space.
Do you think other astronauts, when they were in space, were not all aware of what was going on?
No, they're all aware. My dad was very close to excuse me, I'll be right back. Stay there, keep going. Very close to John Glenn.
Just like me.
And he spoke with John Glenn several times about some of the developments that we have set aside. We have wonderful developments that have just been lost, put aside. And I'll talk about that at another time. But he was very aware of the limitations.
But how can they take that to their deathbed? How do the astronauts take that to their deathbed, that they know that there's more out there? How do you keep
Some don't. Look at Edgar Mitchell. Some do not take it to their deathbed. There's many outspoken astronauts, but is it a cover-up? I don't know if it's a cover-up in their case as much as it is a embarrassment.
But then if India and China are going to eventually go to the Moon, are they going to cover it up as well?
Sorry for interrupting again, but I have a huge problem with this whole moon landing thing, bro. As you probably all know, there are a lot of things that don't make sense up on this day, because we don't have any real good footage from the moon, man. That is legit, So for me, this whole moon thing is, I don't know if we have been to the moon pretty much. I mean, talking about that we have technology like this, I think we have been much further than the moon, right? But for some reason, we still don't have really good footage of the moon in terms of footage where a guy's walking on the moon with like 4K footage, something like that. That should be possible those days, right? But for some reason, we don't have it. It's always about like, one day we're gonna go there again. I mean, we did it in the 60s, right? But with this tinfoil school project looking like thing, but now it's so hard to do it for some reason. And there I'm always like, why? And also the astronaut thing. So many weird things going on with this team, from back in the days that went to the moon first, that are teachers or look like some teachers that are out in this world, which is one hell of a random, happening. Maybe coincidence, maybe not, we don't know. But a lot of things that don't add up. And yeah, it's like the whole NASA. I don't trust NASA at all, man. Everything we see from Earth are just like renderings, dude. I'm not talking about like being a flat Earth guy at all, but it's just NASA is not convincing to me at all, bro. They're just having so much money, but I don't really see what they're doing with it, to be honest. So yeah, a lot of questions in my head.
When does the cover-up start? I mean,
sure. The cover-up starts. You must have the economy to support these secret missions and such. So if it affects the economy, it gets covered up.
So you think it will be an ongoing cover-up if the Chinese, when they eventually do go to the moon?
No. As soon as the old-timers die off that were NSA, CIA, like I mentioned, that never meant to be to cover up, as soon as they die off, which they are dying off.
There was never meant to be a cover-up.
Never meant to be a cover-up. And now if they reveal it, what happens when they're still alive? Tremendous embarrassment to them, personally even, many of them.
Don't they fear that people would purposefully go crazy because they've got a purpose to do it?
No, not go crazy, but
purpose,
the society, the economy would suffer.
But do you think people would go a bit crazy if they knew there was much more? Do you think they would say, well, this is an excuse now to act wacko-jacko?
My father says they can handle it, and besides, there's been a slow accrement of
Well, look
knowledge.
at the movies.
Yes, of course. Hollywood.
I mean, it's almost like saying, we told you, but we didn't.
Yeah, and recently the new release from the military showing the UFO, you know.
It's all part of...
And Nick Povich, you know, I mean, people are beginning to come forward now, and there is an understanding, and the more than 50% of the people are believing nowadays.
But why haven't they come here in person to the masses? There must be a reason for that they've never shown themselves to be saying, you know, here we are. It's if you were spiritually intelligent, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're not just technologically advanced. We would hope that you're spiritually advanced as well. Some say, well, you don't need to be spiritually advanced to be technology advanced, right? But I think they go hand in hand.
I agree with you. You do need that.
Why, if you were to come here, you would be imposing your truth onto someone else?
Mm-hmm. Well, in history, it shows that when a superior race comes into a society, it always disappears. The society disappears. It turns into something else. History will teach you that.
Well, aren't they going to do that then? If disclosure was going to happen, could that be a natural ramification of what happens?
Well, it could be.
Well, then who wants that really?
Well, it's hard to say why, but it was never meant to be a cover-up. So that right there should tell you that it's okay. But there are still those that don't think it's okay, or they're sworn to secrecy with their top secrets, or they want to protect their money. They're being paid. You know, people reject change.
You know, I always felt as a young kid, I was born into this world and I had no choice of the way it was. It was just the way it was.
Correct.
Have I always agreed with it? No.
Right.
Do I feel that we have free will to create the life we want? Well, before I started my documentary on channeling, I thought we did. I still think we do in some respects, but I don't feel like even if there's an Illuminati out there or whatever, right? I don't let it doesn't control my life. I get on and do what I want.
Yeah.
Right? Would I be okay with a mass change? Well, maybe we would have no choice. Maybe if this was to come out, we'd have no choice but I might, if an Eben was in front of me now, an extraterrestrial biological entity, right? I don't know if I could handle it mentally. Mm-hmm. I don't. And is there others? Even though
I know what he's talking about, though. I was trying to imagine it like there's this thing of, trying to imagine this whole thing. Like, imagine you're sitting, whatever, in front of a real extraterrestrial being, but then actually really doing it. I think it's kind of creepy, bro. And I can imagine myself being kind of stuck in time at this point where you're really like, dude, is this for real? For real? Like, you have to touch this thing, to see, okay, it's not a mask, whatever. Depends how they look like, right? If they really look like us, I think it's even harder, because then you just feel like someone has got to prank you. So you have to see some legitimate things that will convince you that this is real, because it's so expanding. Because this whole thing has been just like a fiction thing, nothing real. Like, we kind of think is real, but we've never seen it. Maybe some people do, of course, but for somebody like me that has never seen an extraterrestrial being physically, it's... Of course I wouldn't panic, but to really let that sink in, right, it's gotta take time, dude, even if it would happen.
In this field, is there others like me that would maybe say, not want to admit it, but say that, it's just too far out of my acceptance of a reality?
Right. Well, look what it would do to the liberal media.
destroy them.
Of course. Yeah. So you destroy them, you're hurting the society.
So what's that say about the cover-up for the UFO secret then? It says it's very important.
Well, I have said before on film, I don't believe it's a UFO cover-up. I believe that it's a time travel cover-up. My father, we had the documents, we don't have them anymore on the Philadelphia experiment. Einstein worked on it, my father did reveal that. And I just don't believe, I have said it a very...
I'm sorry again, but this is so important, bro. Because it's not just about UFOs. This whole time travel topic is getting bigger and bigger, man. I was talking about that thing in the Epstein video, you know, Trump being connected to the technology coming from Tesla and like his uncle, John G. Trump. And it's, dude. And then we had the New York Post, actually. Yeah, New York Post posting things about this conspiracy that Trump might be a time travel and stuff like this. Dude, seeing all of those things coming up at the moment, it kind of confirms, you know, it's leading more into this direction of it can actually be about time traveling. Now he's talking about time traveling and it's coming up right at the moment where I am looking for all this stuff. It's so interesting, man. Love the way the universe is communicating, bro. I swear.
Important meeting about time travel. They wanted to know what my father knew and such like that. I have stated my issues, that there is no future and there is no past. There's only now. And the way that I think of it is very simple. As a computer, there are icons. You know your birth, you know your mother, and you know your birthdays, you know when your child was born, and each one is a picture within the brain. Well, the way that time works is those icons are sideways. There is no future, there is no past. There's only the memory of those icons. And can you draw from them as a human being? Yes, you can. But there are those that cannot do that. So if the ET would land here, he would have that ability, and it would segregate our society. See, there are other issues besides religion involved. There's the mental parts that are involved. I don't know if that's hard to follow or what, but these are the type of mind games that need to be played to understand why they do not reveal themselves to the masses.
Going back to what time is, you know, different to what we think. Try to break down what you're just saying there. So
Jesus is dying on the cross right now.
So all past lives, future lives are happening now.
We are limited beings. All we can see is when we were born and our timeline to when we die. It's insignificant in relation to the trillions and the universe. It's insignificant. There is no start. If you look at that, it's like Voyager looking back from the edge of our universe, looking back and seeing one single pixel. Is it important? No. Our whole existence is not important into relation. So why should we measure time? We know we go on after our death. We know we were somewhere before our death. My thinking is that human existence is just a coffee break from eternity. So I know this is deep, but what I'm getting at here is very simple, Kevin. There are other reasons why we don't know. Some can handle it, some can't.
Okay, so if all time's happening at once, so past and future lives are happening now, right?
How have I not stumbled across this guy before, dude? I love this guy, man. He's getting into the right... Like, he's asking the right questions. I feel like he's thinking the way I would think. Things that I am asking myself. Not just on this surface level where you can tell, oh, bro, what are you talking about? Dude, so many guys on, like, Jesse Michaels, for example. I'm listening to them for like 10 minutes and I'm out of there, bro. It's so sus. A lot of them are just pure disinformation guys being on there. You know, it's probably some Palantir sponsored guys. I don't know, man. It's, you know, a lot of disinfo. You can tell right away, but this guy gives me the whole authentic vibes. Like, I buy into it, man. I believe what he's talking about.
and present moment is really all we've got. The rest is an illusion, right? Why is that then? When you say that time travel is the real agenda here, not that we've been visited or there's other technology out there. Why do you still say that time travel is the real agenda here, though?
Well, time travel is the cover-up, because sitting at this table, which I will explain maybe further later, I was tricked into it by the head of the black projects for the Air Force. And I can mention his name, he probably wouldn't mind, but...
Definitely Anthony, man. I also don't judge anyone, right? So hope this doesn't come, hope you don't get it in the way of being arrogant or something. It's just that, yeah, man, I feel like humanity's ready to move on, man. We are ready to graduate into the next class. Some people, maybe. We'll see and find out, I guess. But definitely, man. Pretty hard to navigate through all this mess the moment.
I won't. And I'm sitting at this table with Dalai Lama's representatives, with military representatives, with scientific representatives, and the man that was heading this up, he wanted to release time travel to the universities.
Have a good one, bro. Appreciate you being here, man. Gives me a lot. Stay safe, bro. See you next time.
And he makes all the transformers for the Philadelphia experiment. His name's Mr. Beckworth. He's passed about 4 years ago.
Oh, well then. Let's continue watching, bro.
And we're sitting at this table, and I'm tricked into the head of the table, and I say, what the hell is going on? Why am I here? So the colonel from the black says, just sit, Phil, and answer these guys' questions, Well, I never realized it, but I knew their questions before they answered it. I don't know if I was mind reading or just up on the what they were going to ask because of the way it was presented. So it goes around the table. Should they reveal Mr. Beckworth's time travel machine to the universities to study? Should they make it public, in other words?
Please.
And everybody voted on it, and they wanted to know what I thought about it. And I said, well, it's very simple. I work on aircraft. They go from point A to point B. No questions asked. But in time travel, you have to have a benevolent reason to go from point A to B. Otherwise, you bring back excess of baggage. The Dalai Lama's representative stood up and he says, I told you military people that. They're having problems. That's what the meeting is about. Now, I won't go into the problems because it's probably too mental to understand for most of us.
No,
I quite don't even understand it. But that was the synopsis. Then we get up and we all go into another room and watch the time travel machine disappear. My father said the Air Force did this with revolver.
Dude, I can't imagine. 32 years is a long time. I mean, I'm 29 right now, and I started researching this stuff since I'm 14 and already feel like it's like decades, right? So I feel you on this one. I'm happy you can being a witness, right? Seeing all those things slowly making their way up. Yeah, man. Good times. Hard times, challenging times, but also good times.
Revolving fields, the same as the Aldrich had during the Philadelphia experiment, and 2 of the airplanes winked out of existence, so they quit doing it. We have had time travel for a long time, our submarines and such. I don't want to get into too many things, though, that are hard to believe, but the Earth and our society is not what most people think it is.
Definitely not.
But obviously, there'll be people watching this that will be like, well, that's unprovable, what he's saying there. There's no proof whatsoever.
I understand.
And how do you prove that he says he saw it, he seems like a nice guy, but as some of these researchers like Richard Dolan would say, without the proof, we can't, there's nothing to move, there's nothing to grab at.
Well, there's no proof to God.
No, and most people in this world believe in a form of it.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I can't answer that.
No, but I'm just...
The smoking gun.
This is what
everyone's looking for it.
This is what people are thinking that are watching this right now. So, if you can change the future or past, you could do a lot of damage with that.
If you only knew when you were going to die, you would do a lot of damage with that, with your own self. Because you would be doing things, you would be risking your life doing things that are changing your life.
Where did Mr. Beck, whoever this person is, get the technology for time travel from?
He developed it with the military during the war. And during the war, you know, the Battle of the Atlantic, the war was being lost from the U-boats, the packs. So the Germans had a mine that was magnetic, and it would have ships pass over, come up in the middle, and blow several ships up. Oh. My dad and others, Einstein, my dad went to Einstein during this time of Eisenhower, when he was with Eisenhower, and said, can we do anything about this? Eisenhower says, not Eisenhower, Einstein says we can move it through time and space 500 yards or whatever it was. I'm just using that, 500 yards. I don't know how far it is. So they came up with the Philadelphia experiment. There really was such a thing, that the ship did move from Newport News to Port Richey, and there was deaths involved and such, but they did perfect it. And it was not invisibility. I had the reports, and they were taken from me. And from my father. We had to hide all of his notes for the first 5 years because we were being infiltrated by the cover-up services. And this ship would actually be able to move the mines 500 yards through time and space. Highly developed, which is time travel.
Would the ship,
the All-Ridge.
Would the ship move with the mine, or the mine would be moved by the ship's technology?
The mines would be moved by the ship's technology, and it wasn't just one ship. We had highly developed it after that. 2 revolving fields of the Earth's frequency, which is 8-point-something megs.
But what about all those sailors that were on that ship that knew of this?
There was an accident in the beginning. It was perfecting it.
But how many people on the ship knew of what technology was really on there?
I don't know.
It could have been compartmentalized?
I remember reading the report, and I'd rather not talk about it.
But my point is, if I was on a ship and that happened to me, I've signed the Secrecy Act probably, right?
Yeah.
So can I really talk about it? But then I could say, then your dad signed the Secrecy Act, did he not?
Well, he had 9 clearances above top secret, but he was also the classifier and the declassifier. You know, my father took the first nukes to Europe. He was involved in many things. Star Wars.
Dude, it's crazy having those kind of people where I feel like they are connected to everything. Everything that is insane, that is crazy in this world. There are people that are like, yeah, my uncle worked for the CIA. My nephew is working for Mossad. I don't know. It's like, you know, insane.
He recommended it to President Reagan.
Oh yeah, and it's been slow, bro. I mean, yeah, comparing to the past, we are pretty fast now. How things are moving on in this direction, it's speeding up, man.
So my father was very behind the scenes on quite a few things. So all I'm saying to people, is there proof? Yeah, you saw the black bag. There's proof. Do I want to talk about that? Yeah, I'll talk about it. But what's it going to bring? It's going to bring condemnation down on our family again.
And that's always a side effect of this, potentially, right? Mm-hmm. But let's look at this. Let's just go back to the time travel things before we move on, and we will cover what you just said there as well. So, if that's what they had then, this wasn't reverse engineered from UFO technology?
Yes.
The ideas were?
Yeah, the Germans had a UFO, my dad said. Mm-hmm. Night vision was given to Fort Belvoir because they had already had the Germans' night vision. They planted the artifacts into the areas and then took them back, and the military had the first priority, and then the civilian, they said you can use it to make money or whatever. So yes.
But if Einstein was working on the Philadelphia experiment, for example, where did Einstein's theories come? Where did those ideas come from? Were they from Einstein?
Yes.
Or were they from reverse engineered technology plus Einstein?
They were from Einstein, but to implement it was from reverse technology.
So there must have been crashes prior to 47.
When we took, yes, there were. The Germans had a crash, and my dad was in charge of Operation Paperclip for Eisenhower. That brought the German scientists here. They brought the technology with them.
So the Germans,
from their crash.
So the Germans,
timeline before Roswell 47.
Yes, and America must have got hold of some of these secrets.
All of them.
All of them, right?
Man, imagine learning that in history lesson in school, right? I never liked history in school because I could tell, like, my intuition was telling me it's boring. There's no value in it, you know? It's something is missing, the real essence of things. Imagine your teacher is coming up with stuff like this. I would have been the best student ever, man. I swear. It's, man, so sad. But now we have time to discover it on our own, though. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Except for what the Russians had nothing. My father and General Trudeau used to laugh at the Russians when they used to try to make a space shuttle and make a SST. I mean, they would laugh at them because they did not have it. They still today do not have the technology. It's a joke.
So you think they've perfected a better version of time travel right now, the government?
Oh, absolutely.
But then what's that doing? I mean, if they're changing reality,
excessive baggage. Remember that word I said? That is see, in a benevolent universe, there is no paradox where you go back and kill your father and you don't exist. It's very, very involved, and I don't think we should go into that direction right now.
Okay, but if there were changes going on in this reality, would I know the difference if someone's gone back in time, for example, and changed something in the past, and they come back to this time? They're never coming back to the same timeline. They're not coming back to my time. They're going back to a parallel universe.
Well, that's the way it works. Let me explain it real quick, if I may. You go back in time. Do you come forward in that same parallel? No. You're growing forward in a different parallel. You go back again, you're growing in, and you say, well, what's that got to do with this first timeline?
Right.
What has one wave got to do with the other wave?
Right.
It changes it.
It does ripple across.
It does ripple across, yeah. And that's the way reality works. With one timeline, only with one timeline.
So they're going back. They've made a change, whatever that is. They steal gold from somewhere, right? Okay. So that's going to that should make a difference to this timeline that they came from.
Well, it does.
But they never go back to the original timeline. They go back to another version.
Yeah. Let's take the Roswell craft, for instance.
Well, that's interesting, talking about these timeline things, because there are a lot of theories how timelines work, that we're just, switching them like a TV channel and stuff like this, but the way they're explaining it right now makes sense. Anthony, what do you mean exactly with the years don't line up right now all the time with the world? Do you mean in terms of time's moving too fast, or that it feels engineered in a way, or what do you mean exactly? Tell me more, bro.
Yes,
I'll give you an example. Okay, let's just say theoretically that I build this ship in the future. Let's say 2034. And I load it with a bunch of technology and I send it back, 1947. And I say in 1947, okay, Americans are smart enough to take this technology and move forward with it, okay? Well, my father and General Trudeau said, maybe this technology is going to work in reverse. It may not. There's always a yin and a yang to technology. Look at the internet, the trouble it's causing right now and such. So maybe the message wasn't strong enough. So maybe when this grows forward into the next reality, and I build it again and I send it back, I'm going to put a little stronger message in here. They didn't get it. You see? Now, did that affect this one over here? Absolutely. It all runs together as a ripple in that
so
pond.
It automatically ripples to the other universes.
See the pond?
Just like it,
one's reinforcing the other.
But if you're sending me that back, As we progress here, you're progressing quicker.
Yeah.
Are you progressing spiritually quicker?
Well, that's the question my father and General Trudeau had. Technically, we would be able to take these advances. Morally, can we take these advances? They toyed with that and they toyed with that and never came up with an answer, my father said. So
this could be factions or split off from groups in the future that are trying to change their path. So let's look at that then. Did your dad believe that the craft, and this is a replica of what the craft looked like?
Which my dad worked with a fellow named McDonald, a young man, and they drew it out and engineered it forward with two other guys, two other ex-military.
If this was from the future, then...
Have you ever seen the planes I build, the velocities? These are called winglets, and it's a pusher with a propeller back here and has the canard, Rutan's pictures up there. Very similar. And my father always said, came to the wheel wells, and it changed the subject for a second, came to the wheel wells on the planes I built, said that's where the anti-gravity devices go.
Oh my goodness.
Now, that's all. Won't speak no more about that part. Go ahead.
But then when I had my UFO experience, I saw I think it was, a silver it was, but a circular craft.
Of course.
Why is their circular craft different to this one that was sent back?
You see the bottom? Look at the bottom. Look like heat tiles, right?
Yes.
This is living biology. And what you're seeing is the aura around it, the aura around it, living biology. It died after it crashed, and it went into two different places. I know it's getting very involved. There was Corona.
Oh my goodness, I love this guy, bro. Oh my god. Because this is, like, he's talking about so many things that are not really talked about that much. I know there are also other people, of course, talking about this, but mainly people do talk about this surface level, about the technology. But there are a lot of people claiming that this technology is so advanced that it's not just dead matter, that it's biology, basically. Maybe even maneuver through consciousness of the people sitting in that thing, and that it's very, very intelligent, and that it's, interacting with our consciousness, and it's so interesting, man. I love it.
And there was also Roswell. Part of it went there 10 years, part of it went back here 10 years. It's a time travel machine, remember. Now, what does it has to do? It has to go outside our atmosphere in order to time travel. We know time changes in the satellites, and the atomic clocks have to correct them, okay? So we understand space-time now to a certain point that the scientists have. Do they need to understand more? Yes. It's falling apart. It crashed.
I do apologize. Oh dear. Yes.
You know, it would take many, many hours for me to explain this. I'd be glad to do it because that's my subject.
No. Okay. So this.
The interviewer is full of. Okay. There's so many questions on this guy. Yeah, so many questions on his mind, man. But I feel him. It's dude, he's overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed as well, though. So interesting.
Wasn't the Rendlesham Forest incident, wasn't that craft supposed to be intelligent? And it said it was from the future.
Yes, and say everything is all right in the code. It said everything's all right in the future.
That's good to hear.
It can't stay.
No.
You know why it can't stay? It destabilized. All the crafts that have crashed have been taken back. It can't stay here.
Where is this craft now?
Back to where it belongs. The pieces. Not only the pieces. Now, my father had some pieces, but understand the Air Force took most of it. This was only what was put in a Jeep and put in a file. And then the file was delivered to my dad by General Trudeau when he came aboard in 1960. But the crafts can't stay here. It destabilizes.
So this would have been a biological conscious AI craft. These would have been the Ebens inside the craft.
These are night viewing devices. There's a 3.5 degree sweep here. Through the atmosphere it flies this way. They view from the bottom. It has a field density device. Remember that word. The density is lower in the front and higher in the back. Field density device. Do I know how to build it? Absolutely.
Have you?
He's just flexing, bro.
Well, let me tell you, when my dad was in Roswell revealing the book, Whitley Strieber, I sat at the table with him in breakfast that morning. He says, and usually I'm not embarrassed. And he says, are you ready to build a craft?
All right.
And I turn red in the face. I can't answer. My wife answers and says, she says, no, it's your father's time now. It's not your time. Now, does the military know how to do this and all? Yes, they have known for a long time. Do the civilians know how? No. It's a time-released schedule. Is it now? Can I release it? Yes.
What was that device at the front called? It was called a
field density
device.
What
does that do?
It changes the density. Think about that for a minute. If you can control the density.
So is it about density in terms of creating this bubble, this field around the craft that people talk about? That, you know, is making this craft being able to move through space-time without having any how do you say, like, resistance, in terms of there is no the normal laws of physics, right? Like having air that you have to fight against. But if you create this field around you, you're moving through space and time, which is making it pretty easy to be faster than light, actually. Yeah, so this does sound like it. It's like Mr. McCandlish that we talk about as well. So kind of the same thing in a way. I think that's what he's talking about.
Of matter. It's a technological advance that would be 2,000 years away.
So when this is moving, its density is changing as well, or has changed?
It can change the density, yeah. And that's how it travels through time. Remember, a tablespoonful of collapsed star can fall right through the Earth. Density. That's all the universe is. It's motion and density and space-time.
You were just saying that the military could reverse engineer this craft, maybe.
They already have.
But how do you reverse engineer in AI? From technology 2,000 years or more in the future?
This is interesting. Anthony, old phone boxes for Doctor? Who time machines are cheap on Facebook Marketplace. Don't 100% get what you talk about. So you mean old phone boxes? I get that. But what do you mean exactly are they doing? Do you mean that some old phone boxes are actually time machines, or what do you mean exactly? Please elaborate on that one. And the anti-gravity stuff isn't the hard part, it's the 0-point free energy device that powers it. Well, yeah, probably. I mean, I did hear about that too, that it's like that this anti-gravity stuff is more like a side effect on its own, but you actually have to get this free energy device running to being able to just make this thing work to create that field and sustain it, right? Phone boxes for time machines are cheaper Facebook Marketplace. To make a craft, you make it. That's what you mean? Okay. That's what you mean. Alright. Yeah, well, man, I've never been into things like building stuff on my own, to be honest. Even though it's super interesting to watch people on YouTube doing that. Pretty interesting, man. Have you ever done something like it?
Well, because my father said in research and development that they came to the conclusion in 1963 that there were more advancements that year than last year and all the previous years in history. It's exponentially up. They can literally do anything they want to do.
So you feel by now that graph's just gone off
My
the
dad
scale?
said, yes, absolutely. My dad said that we have absolutely caught up with ET except for biology. They're still ahead of us in biology.
But in my lifetime, this technology, I may have seen it, a scrap of that technology when I had my UFO.
Time travel. You saw time travel, not a UFO experience. You saw a time. Do you notice how some of the UFOs that appear are opaque? They're not quite there and all. They're not, and they wobble around. They're not quite developed from the time they came from, and they're They're not quite here and not quite
what
there.
What about cigar shape?
Pardon me?
What about cigar shape?
Yeah, it's all...
Dude, this is actually the first time that I hear it from this perspective, pretty much. So he's not saying that they're, he's not really saying that the UFOs, they are just here, right? And then they fly around and we see them. So he's actually saying that every single UFO basically that we see, and we kind of see maybe a bit blurry, as he's saying right now, or as he was describing, that it's not fully there, kind of, on and off, because it is actually coming from the future and materializing in our timeline, but it's not fully there. So it's kind of just glitching through. As he was also saying that those craft, if they crash, they have to get back into the older timeline because it's kind of not being stable. Dude, this is super interesting. Trying to think of it from this perspective, that maybe all of those UFO things are just experiences from the future glimpsing into our timeline and then glitching back, which may be one reason why it's so hard to capture on video, because maybe it's just a frequency thing that is making it kind of impossible, and also because they're way too fast, bro. Dude, I get so much out of this interview. Gotta be honest with you, I love it.
Because it seemed when I saw
it's all our future, no matter where it came from. If it came from out there, it's still our future.
But
Dude,
in my lifetime,
it's our future that also brings back some of this.
But in my lifetime, I don't know, maybe I'm creating my reality saying this, I don't feel that this is ever going to be released, that they've reversed engineered something like this. And also the technology that will give us free energy is never going to come out in my lifetime. Why do I say that, like, so confident for? Have I got it wrong?
Field.
Like, either he's like, dude, you just don't get it, man. How can I explain it to you? Or he's just trying to think of what he should say, or what he should keep for himself. Man. The UFO crashes half land in one area, the other half land 10 years later. Same craft, same crash. Oh. Same craft, same crash. Really? Half landed in one area, the other half landed 10 years later. Dude, that's interesting. Which one is it? Do you have the name of that crash? By accident? That would be interesting. Never heard of that one, I think.
Density.
But right now we're relying on conventional power plants,
of course,
conventional technology.
No such thing as solar. No, it's
we've got the
carbon footprint.
We've got the normal space program still just trying to evolve as it is. The scientists, with their understanding,
it's a rouge. Because astronauts have come back and been very angry. In fact, one of the astronauts punched the director in the nose.
In NASA?
And he said, yeah, in NASA. And he says, why did you do that? He says, how dare you send us there on bicycles when the military's there in Ferraris?
But
and that can be looked up.
And still now, though, where is this out there in helping us with progressing us as mankind? It's the government has kept it a secret, or the factions within the government.
Okay, see this table here? My father said they developed a nuclear plant the size of this table,
right,
and it put out RO, of water in Alaska for 6 years without being touched. He went to John Glenn and mentioned this. Also, they had a car that ran off 4 flashlight batteries for a year. Now, there's a technology that they still don't know about, and I'm going to tell you what the technology is. Fluid amplification. That's an oxymoron according to scientists. You cannot amplify fluid. It can't be compressed. There's an integrated circuit that's in there, and the military knows about it, that amplifies hydraulics.
Which is interesting because Mark McCandlish was talking about that inside of the craft, I think, that there is also some kind of fluid, right? This is interesting. This is interesting. Mark McCandlish. That there's the cylinder inside of the oh my goodness. What was it called? Papa beer and all those things. Man, I forgot the name of the craft, bro. But anyways, that from the craft office blueprint, that the F-Lux liner, thank you, oh my goodness. That the F-Lux liner, the cylinder that is in there, that there's also some kind of fluid. Man, and that's what I love. You hear a lot of things from different people, and a lot of things, sometimes they do add up, you know, and create this bigger picture, which makes sense. Wow, it's interesting. Yeah, it's the F-Lux liner, definitely. Exactly.
Within a microcircuit. Now, those technologies are there. Why don't we use them? Because of the political scene.
Again, Anthony, do you know the name of the crash that you were mentioning before, where the one half landed and then the other half 10 years later? I really would like to know. But if not, no worries. I'm just going to research on my own. But it did sound interesting, gotta say.
Now, your dad, he never... All the information you know now that you've been describing to me, this all came out once the book started to come out?
No.
No.
This has always been with me, ever since I was a small child. The same as you've told me that you have certain knowings too.
But no, I mean, sorry, let me
ask. It's a pre-programming, I believe.
But what you know about this, did your dad tell you about this? What you know about this?
After.
That's what I mean. Sorry. So your dad explained about the craft to you after...
But I already knew most of it.
The book came out.
I already knew most of it.
And how did you know most of what you've just told me?
Because I've had many experiences as a young man.
UFO experiences or alternative experiences?
Time travel experiences.
Did you ever...
Yeah, time travel experience. Bro. Oh man, but look at this guy. I mean, how can this... He's not lying. You know what I mean? Like, my intuition is telling me it just is how it is, bro. Even though it's hard to grasp for most of us people, probably. I totally trust this guy, man. Just because I did not have those experiences. Why would he lie? Insane, man. What an interesting guy. In Arizona, maybe. Alright, so it's probably not as big of a thing, so I might not find that info. Alright. In the big enough info will come out eventually, all by the looks of where it's going. Yeah, dude. I think it's gonna come out in a way because it's not... I mean, truth anyway will make its way to the surface at some point, right? And I feel like we are right. We are watching things to come. I mean, with Trump wanting to disclose. I mean, not saying that just because he said he wanted to disclose things, it will come, but dude, as I was talking about in my videos also, it's like, it's all preparing us. It's so widespread now, this topic, and the like New York Post and like this whole UFO thing is so staged in a way. The interview with Obama, where he was basically just confirming that aliens are real, is so scripted. The way he's just saying, yes, they are real, and la la la, and then the other guy is just like, what was the first question that you answered when you were president? It's like, dude, they just want this thing to get into the mind of people. So, you know, they're familiar with it, and it's not a foreign thing from the outside. So it's all programming and preparing us for something. Yeah, bro. Exactly. It cleans everything, basically.
Tell your dad about your experiences in the end?
You know, that's a good question. I think so, because some of it, as my father was having a encounter, I was having it also.
I want to know his
story, though. We never really talked about it. I can't
Tell me your experiences.
Really talking about it.
So
only the photographs he didn't like.
So your UFO experiences in your early years, which only came out for you to talk about, maybe even now, is this the first?
It only came out after the book.
After the book,
because you know it's Yeah.
That, to me, shows some sort of connection to these beings that you've got as well. You know, it's some sort of family lineage kind of
absolutely
connection.
Mm-hmm. My sons, you know, they don't talk about it anymore because it only brings heartaches. Mm-hmm. And you know, everything on the book has already been said. But the experiences afterwards, for instance, like I told you about the president and stuff, you know, these are real experiences. You know, we've had CIA pull up in front of the hangar in vans full of electronic equipment and stuff. You know, it was ongoing. And what I say, the reason I'm mentioning this is, if it wasn't true, why the hell have we had all these experiences afterwards? Lawsuits and you know, infiltration, coming in the house, taking things. If it wasn't true, they wouldn't be bothered with it.
Well, why are they left?
100%, man. If you get, you know, if people fight against you out of the system, you know you're doing something right. If people cancel you, if people want to silence you, you know you're on the right track. As sad as it is, but that's just how it is, man.
You're alone now.
Made a deal. Made a deal.
Are you breaking that deal speaking to me?
Probably. But it's been years after that deal. I've told you about the deals in private, and that was a long time ago. 15 years, five years after my father's death. So I'm 74, going on 75 soon. Do I really care anymore? Nah, but I care about my family. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it implicate, you know, how it would affect them. You know, so do I care? Kind of, yeah. Do I want to tell? Kind of, yeah. But my business is closed, so maybe I can reveal a little bit. I know what to reveal and what not to reveal.
Man, almost brings tears to my eyes, bro. Imagine you have all this knowledge and you just know you gotta protect your family, and that's why you gotta stay silent. At least a little bit. I mean, he's talking about a lot of stuff. But that's what he was saying. I can tell that he's just like thinking so much, trying to think, should I say this? Should I say that? Or shouldn't I? It's like, you can tell this guy knows a lot or has experienced a lot. Wow.
How much of what your dad's... Okay, Stanton Freeman said to me in a previous interview that your dad just wanted to be famous. He wanted the fame. He invented the story.
Look at his career. There's paperwork to back it up. How can you invent a lifetime of a career like this?
And that paperwork is, again, remind us?
It's his career. My father's career.
Can I have a look at it?
Absolutely.
So this is his...
Took the first nukes. As a young man, my father never laid a hand on me. I can't remember him telling a lie or fabricating, except for a few things in the book that he was forced to fabricate by others that only wanted to make money. He kind of went along with them. He got angry at the end and went through a book and yellowed everything out that wasn't true.
How did he get to the rank that he did? I mean, how do you get to that rank?
1 second. Two crashed here, the claim some notice suggested in July, no, not one, but two of Mexico. Yeah, I did hear about that too. About the two crash thing. But as I said, never dug into it. Really. But yeah, man. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. Gotta look more into the Roswell thing. But I definitely gotta get this book, man. This sounds super interesting.
My father had a photographic memory, and it was so strong that after the book, he would be describing things to people, what color shirt you had on 10 years ago and such. And I'd tell my dad, taper off, Dad. It's making it unbelievable. You don't need to describe it in detail. But that was my father's memory. How did he become an intelligence officer? He was drafted into the military. He couldn't leave with his other friends. I have that original stories. And because of his photographic memory, they put him in officers candidate school. And then they decided to send him to Cambridge University before the war. We had no intelligence, so he was taught the intelligence, came back after the war to Fort Riley, Kansas, and taught intelligence to the British used to say, how green our ally. Because my dad didn't know crap when he first went overseas to Cambridge University.
So he worked his way up?
worked his way up, and then he went with MacArthur. And back then, all they had was the microtapes, you know. But my father interrogated over 1,000 prisoners himself, and he took a different stand. Instead of not believing them, he believed everything they said. So he sat on the Panmunjom peace talks with North Korea. And the enemy knows their own weakness. So he put together, he was the only officer ever celebrated and given medals from the Air Force, because they did the narrow torpedoes and went into the big, wide rice dams. They would bomb them and they'd be repaired the next morning. But when you put delayed torpedoes in there that go off at different times, end of the war. Food is gone. So the peace talks, I'm not saying my dad single-handedly did this. There were others, many other brilliant people involved. But that's the type of person my father was. He could remember all 1,000 interrogations. He was unusual. Strangest man I ever met.
But had he come across the Roswell incident prior to getting hold of that cabinet?
He didn't. He wasn't at Roswell.
So it was that compartmentalized the secret was?
Yes, it was. He was not at Roswell.
That interviewer, bro, sorry. It's distracting him. Like, there's so much pressure when he's just like having something in mind. It was just like, and then he was just continuing with this question. I mean, I totally know how he feels, though. I get his mood, but just funny to watch the interviewer. He's really just thinking a lot at the moment. Funny guy. But yeah, Arizona, my geography is not great. No worries, bro. No worries. No worries.
Well, but he was in. Stan Freeman said, MJ-13. Your father said he was on that. It doesn't show his name. No, it doesn't, because he was the person that MJ reported to for Eisenhower. That's why Eisenhower called him in and said, what's this all about, Corso? So Freeman didn't have all the information.
MJ-12, you mean?
MJ-12, yes. My father was the 13th member of it, not on paper. He was the one they reported to, Colonel North's job.
The Majestic 12.
You know, so Stan Freeman doesn't have all the information.
Man.
And he says, your father was not a colonel. Well, when a lieutenant colonel retires, they always move you to the next rank. It's an honorary service. He doesn't know that. He was never in the military.
And you've got in that room in there, which we're just showing now, his medals.
Yeah. The one he's the most proud of, Kevin, is that he was the Italian decoration as knight. He was the only American, because he was G2 of Rome after the war. And there's a whole story in there I would like to see printed, a whole book. It's fantastic. And I would like to see that printed. And he was the only American to ever be knighted by the King of Italy. He was very proud of that medal. I have all the certificates also. But he was a strange man. Took the first nukes to Germany. I think I already mentioned that.
Definitely.
And Eisenhower had him take them there. He knew the Kennedys very well.
Damn,
he knew the Reagan very well.
What?
How much misinformation is in his book that he had to put in there just to keep the family safe?
10% is in the book, my dad said.
But I'm talking about misinformation. Is there any misinformation, do you think, in that book?
Yes, there's some misinformation, but it's mostly technicolor. It's what was put in the first 2 chapters. When people read the book, I tell them ignore it, because you already know about the Roswell. Mr. Burns said, well, we have to put that in there because, and as far as being, you know, some of the stuff in there, my dad was, there was never a legal done on the book with Simon & Schuster. There was personal family relationships there to get it through real quick. And my father never had a chance to proofread it, which very much upset him. So the book has not technical items in it. It's really not a book about UFOs, as you know. It's a book about government. And there's a lot more to be said about all of that.
So the editor added things, there were things added in that book. So when your dad got...
Chris Corbin was the editor.
So did he add things in that shouldn't have been in there?
Pardon me?
Did he add things into the book that shouldn't have been added? Did he?
No, there was no legal done, no proofreading.
So when your dad first got the first copy, but I remember you saying that he yellowed marks.
Yeah, very upset.
But who made those mistakes in the book?
Who made the mistakes?
Yeah.
I'm not going to call them mistakes. I'm going to call them colorful metaphors.
And who put those in there?
Bill Burns.
And Bill Burns was?
The co-author.
That he met through George Knapp?
Yes.
And is Bill Burns still with us?
He's on Ancient Aliens and all that, you know. Bill Burns is a brilliant man, and I always thought he would be the next Steven Spielberg. Looks like he got caught up in the UFO thing rather than moving on.
As we know, Spielberg's also into this whole UFO thing, you know. How was it called? Cameron... Oh my goodness. Already... Grant... No, damn it. I already forgot the name of the guy we were watching before. Grant Cameron. I think Grant Cameron. He was also talking about Spielberg being involved into this whole thing, that he saw the real footage of the Roswell incident and stuff like that. So, dude, they're all connected. It is crazy if you listen to all these guys that are, you know, from back in the day talking about this topic. They're talking always about the same people being involved into this whole thing, and then wonders what a miracle. They're always having all those things so early already in their mind and making movies about it, like Spielberg and, you know, Stanley Kubrick, and we have the Star Trek thing, which is so old, like for us. But then there's this whole universe of spaceships with technology that we cannot even think about, because back in the day we did not have like smartphones and all this stuff, so the idea has been somewhere, you know? So yeah, man, it's all... What a small world we're living in, bro, but it's super interesting to dig into this.
Before that, he was a horror story writer, as I understand it. Mm-hmm. Good man, though, very intelligent.
Absolutely.
He made the book profitable, even though my dad received no money from it. Really? I own the rights, and we really still receive royalties.
That's good.
The new audio book has been put out by Bill Burns, which is brilliant. And it has information in it that's not in the book.
Where did that information come from?
Me. Yeah.
Did you work with Bill to make the audio version?
And afterwards, Bill Burns, you know, talked to my father quite a bit during the time that the book was released. So there's there's a time capsule buried in Roswell. Said it's very important for my sons to be there in 50 years, all three sons, when it's open.
Really?
Do you know where it is?
Sure. It's right outside the Goddard Museum.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Very important for my sons to be there during the opening. Okay. I don't know what's in it. I wish I did, because I won't be there. Probably. Well, unless I'm 100 and something years old.
We don't always last that long, do we? That's the problem.
I don't want to last that long.
No. Well, I'm grateful for you being here right now. There's so much we could say about the book. So okay, what you just said there as well. There's only 10% of the information in that the book is about that contains the information that your dad had. How much more information do you have that could be released to make more books?
A lot, probably.
Wow, never thought of that one. I don't know how to answer that.
But there is more material you've got.
I'm so sorry, guys. I have to jump to the toilet again. I think too much coffee, too much water in the morning. Because where I'm at in Germany, Berlin is pretty early. Well, not that early anymore, but I'll be back in a second though. Sorry, quick interruption. Give me 1 sec, guys. 1 sec. So. I'm back. Let's hop in.
Yeah, but I have a hard time sometimes separating what I think I know and from what my dad told me or is in the book. So is there more information?
But there's the black bag in there.
There's the black bag in there that my father gave it to Paula Harris, and he said this is very important. The black bag has been pilfered, though.
Has it been published? What was in there?
No. The EB thing I showed you, how he's made, came from the Johns Hopkins Review. My father said that's true because they never would have known about the eyelid release. You know, the cover in the eye. That was the night vision that he held up in the book.
But that Eben thing I read in that room, is that your dad's notes?
Yes, personally.
Yeah.
No.
Let's just say about the Eben that this was a biological entity that could go past the radiation belts and that could survive.
Made to travel in space.
Made to travel. These bodies were made to travel in space that were in this craft.
Yeah, they have two brains, not two hemispheres like we have. One brain is laced with integrated circuits to feed back the information. The other one lets them run as a
And what was it?
ET, or as a.
So they were part of the craft.
Yeah, they're part of the craft. That's where the head device came from.
So who made these? Us from the future?
Well, I'm not going to answer that at this time. We've talked about the future, what it is, and the way that I see it. Once you see it my way, you have information.
I gotta get back to that thing because I just had something in mind and I got distracted for a second because I forgot what movie it was or series where they were also those beings that what was it? That they had to get to, or those beings had to put those humans, I think, into some, state to make them time travel or jump time. I think it was, was it Star Trek? I'm not really sure. It was a sci-fi movie, of course, or a series. I think it was a movie, though. And there were those beings that they had to, use for making a jump because they were able to do it and not get pretty much affected by it or something like that. Which is interesting because he's talking about like this biological being being able to sustain and to go through this radiation. And it's all, everything we see in movies is just reality at this point. Gotta be honest with you, man. Crazy. But now let's get back to him. Gotta rewind because I want to hear again what he was talking about because I think it's a pretty interesting question.
From the future?
Well,
who made these?
The craft. That's where the head device came from.
So who made these? Us from the future?
Well, I'm not going to answer that at this time. We've talked about the future, what it is, and the way that I see it. Once you see it my way, you have information.
Do we become them, maybe?
No, I don't think so.
No.
It's strictly a ET.
Well,
not just an extraterrestrial, but a IA.
We're saying they're from the future. Who's to say they wasn't from the past?
Well, of course, it's one and the same, as I told you. That's the way I see it. Icons. You send the ship back.
It's like something kind of, you see these drawings, and I don't know if I got this right, from like Atlantean kind of ideas.
Look at the picture up there, it's a whale.
Yeah.
Is it not a starfish?
Right.
Yeah?
No,
I mean a stingray?
But what I'm saying is, what if this was from Atlantis, sent from the past into the future? But then that would make no sense, would it?
Atlantis is not the past,
no,
it's the future.
It's the future, okay. Yeah. Just tell me about when...
Oh, this is deep. Atlantis is not the past, it's the future. Never thought of it from this perspective. Dude, this interview is giving me a lot, seriously. Because he's talking about things most people don't talk about in that way. And yeah, brother, Dune has some cool space beings. Gotta say though, I did not read the books, and I gotta say the movie, personally, to me, I'm not too much into Dune, bro. I don't know why. It's not hooking me, dude. Like, all the characters, I don't get warm with them. I don't, like, for me personally, that a movie is good, I have to, you know, connect with their personality, and I need to be involved with my emotions, you know, to really feel it, to feel them, their story, their life, what they're going through. And in Dune, it's just, I don't know, random things are happening, and then you have all these characters visually, and like in terms of cinematography, 10 out of 10, but it, in the way of that, it's like really touching me, you know, in whatever way. It's not happening too much for me, which is why I haven't even seen the second movie. Yeah, I wish I would love it as much as people do, but maybe at some point I will get into it. Not sure though. Even though it's, I know in a way it's great, but I think you know what I mean. But dude, the way he's talking, also that it's not, you know, nothing people did not hear about, that maybe dolphins, whales are super intelligent, and like old ancient tribes, civilizations, we're calling them, well, I don't know if directly, not extraterrestrials, but like very intelligent, high swinging beings. And now he was also referring to his craft looking like a stingray. And that future and past is one of the same thing, because if you go back in time, you're influencing everything. So you, in a way, you can't really distinguish what is what, because you're just moving in this field of the present moment that is in the end only really there. You know, you're just jumping from one present moment to the other present moment. So in a way, there is no real room. Yeah, basically. So, right? It's just that you jump from one moment to the other moment to influence and have a change in the moment you were before, which is maybe where you're jumping back to, maybe. So in a way, you're just, you know, changing the present moment of each moment, if you get what I mean. So yeah, man, this is super deep, but interesting to think about. Yeah, that's the thing. There's only present, right? So you can only change the present moment, but maybe you can get to another present moment, which is maybe in the future, maybe to the past, and change the present moment, which might repeat in a way, but differently, because you just changed the other present moment, bro. I gotta write a book, bro. I swear. I'm just kidding, but interesting, man.
Your dad got this box of technology from the Roswell incident. I mean, he's talked about a filing cabinet.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, well, was it a filing cabinet, or was that just your dad's way of saying, as an analogy of
No,
what it was?
It was a file cabinet that was stored away and lost for years in the basement of the Pentagon. General Trudeau knew about it. And he says, I'm having it delivered to your office. He said, here's my dad's words. General Trudeau said, Colonel, now Freeman criticized my dad before he went into the R&D job, because he had just come back from Germany as Inspector General over there and bringing the first nukes to the 552 Missile Battalion. And my dad was in a holding pattern because he was only in Annapolis there in the Guard, National Guard, and he was in a holding pattern until General Trudeau could bring him aboard. So when General Trudeau brought him aboard, he says, Corso, are you aboard? And my dad told me later that he knows what that meant. It meant this stuff. And they actually was in a file cabinet down in the basement, stored away, lost. Nothing done with it. And that's why my father says a lot of the technology that came from this is still down there or somewhere, not being used.
insane.
But the Air Force may have it, my father said.
Do you think they still have the bodies? Because I heard that the bodies they disintegrated pretty badly.
Yeah.
But do you think they still got them on ice in some form?
I don't know. I can only tell you about the Pentagon story that my father told me. There's a room that you go into like a jail cell. You take no computer, no writing, no anything to record with. Whatever's in your memory, you can come out and they will answer it. I see it as a alien, but it could be a computer. I don't know what it is. He never said. But he says he comes out of that room and all knowledge is there. It's like an oracle, I guess.
Which could have come from this craft or some other craft.
Yeah. Or from an entity. I don't know.
Did one of the
Why would it be a jail cell? Keep people from going in or coming out? I don't know.
Well, absolutely. And was there a survivor on this crash?
I don't know. My father never really got into the detail of the crash itself. He went to the site afterwards.
We did?
Yeah, he was brought to the site. And in fact, during the Roswell 50th anniversary, they asked my dad, is it this site or this site? And he says, well, here's the one I came to with the military afterwards.
Because the crash was 10 years apart because it was a time travel ship. Part of it crashed in 1947 and the other crash was, which one was that? That was Corona, which
the other parts.
10 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the thing they were talking about, bro. Now we got the answer, man. I mean, also you gave me the answer, right? But yeah, I see. Now I got it. I got you, bro.
And is that verifiable in some? That's I guess.
Yeah, that's verifiable.
That's verifiable. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it goes deep.
I love it.
My father at that time was in White Sands, New Mexico, preparing the 552 Missile Battalion to take the nukes overseas, and he was there during the Corona part, and they had taken the radars and moved them down to pencil beam, and from that the first particle weapons were developed, which is still in White Sands. And we went to the museum, and the director of the museum was really amazed that my father was there and showed him the first particle weapon, which my dad helped develop, and helped develop Star Wars with Reagan. Or actually, Reagan called him and said, you see, the Cold War was not necessarily about the Cold War. It was about planetary infiltration from others. They would.
Wait. Philip Corso. Not Philip Corso, I'm sorry. Mr. Corso Jr. You're blowing my mind. The Cold War was about interplanetary takeover? What? Again, my brain did just melt away. But yeah, man, New Mexico, Corona. Exactly. Yeah, dude, seriously. This is one of the best interviews I've seen in a long time. So much value.
See, the Cold War was not necessarily about the Cold War. It was about planetary infiltration from others. They were destabilizing our military bases, our nukes, and such like that. And not to go into another story, but that was a planetary defense system.
So when we look at what's going on with Russia now, with the allegations against Russia of hacking and everything else, is that just a bit of?
Well, the ETs, my dad told me the Berlin Wall was going to come down years before it did, because the Russians have violated the ET mandate. First of all, we were told to stay out of space. That's why we didn't go back to the moon for many years. We weren't ready. Second of all, do not put nukes in space. My dad said the Russians violated that, put nukes in space, and they were told to close. They didn't fail, they were told to close. I know, fantastic, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Bro. This is interesting. Not saying that now the moon landing is legit. But maybe we've been able, but maybe we're not allowed to go there because humans are just doing bad shit, you know, as always. We're like in kindergarten just acting up and playing around and doing stupid stuff. And they were like, bro, you better grow up. And when you mature a little bit, when you're a bit mature, Maybe we allow you to go back into space, but till you're not at this point, you gotta relax on Earth, man. Dude, this guy, is he alive? I did not look up if he's still alive, man. Oh my god, this bro is so interesting.
And again, when you was a child, these fantastic calls would come in from high rank. I mean, you never took the calls, did you? From some of these famous, like the presidents that were called your dad up. You just know that your dad told you that he took some of these calls at home sometimes in his career.
Oh, he was always, even in his retirement, he was always behind the scene with the president, most presidents, but not all.
But were you aware of that?
Oh yes, I saw him stand at attention when Reagan would call in my business. He would stand up and say yes sir and salute, even though he was on the phone. Of course.
Did you think that was normal?
Yeah, I knew he was involved in a lot.
But not exactly.
As a boy, I knew he was involved in a lot.
Are you adding?
J. Edgar Hoover called my dad a rat. He hated him.
Are you adding anything to your dad's story that wasn't there originally? Are you trying to fill in pieces so that it makes sense for you?
My dad's story?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the strangest man I ever knew.
But you're not adding anything extra that shouldn't be in it, just so that it makes more sense for people to listen to.
Yeah.
This is the story as you know it.
As I know it.
As you know it. So
I never knew my father to tell a lie or exaggerate, because an intelligence officer is taught not to do that.
Right.
He's a nothing. He's just a recorder that's bringing back the information. That's all. Not to exaggerate it, not to give a political view on it, not to give his view on it.
When he gave, we never knew whether there was an actual live entity that was taken away at the crash.
It says in the front of the book that one came over the hill and we shot it and all that.
We don't know yet. Right. Okay.
But that wasn't my dad saying that.
No, of course not.
That's the Hollywood.
And when you listen to the old interviews with Art Bell, when, for example, there was a liquid gel that the beings were kept in,
not in those
the crates.
days. We didn't have that technology. Anybody can see through that.
But your dad
in 47.
Your dad had to keep to some story of what was in the book so that the book wouldn't.
My dad was 75 years old, easily influenced by the money that was told he was coming his way, which he never got a penny of. And he was easily influenced. He said, this is the way books are written. He was a virgin at it. I always told him he would never be paid. I knew it, because I was a businessman. I ran businesses for years, and I know when somebody is not going to pay you.
Yeah. But he had to go along with some things in the book, even though he probably didn't want to go along with them because they'd already been printed and there was no way of changing it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's quite sad, isn't it?
It's very sad.
Yeah.
So against his grain. That's why he sat down and did the yellow.
Right. To the first copy he's got, but we don't have that copy of that book with the yellow. Oh, it might be somewhere.
It was a paperback. I remember.
But when he took this technology to companies from the cabinet, he must have had to look high and low for companies that were kind of close, so it wouldn't just seem like it came out of the blue.
Yeah, absolutely. Harris Labs up here did quite a bit of work just in Melbourne, up the road here.
Where are these original parts that were given, do you think?
Well, they remember, they didn't give the parts out. It even says that in the book. No. They gave the money and the allocation for them to develop in that direction.
But did no one get to see?
They gave them information, though, about the parts, okay? The military had the parts, the Army had the parts, research and development had the parts. Now, if they began to flounder, my dad said, or not develop, then the part would be introduced and taken back.
Right. But
no paper trail. They didn't want a paper trail.
The people that were given this delicate, information, they must have known it was from somewhere else.
Of course they did. Of course. That's why when the book was written, we had all these scientists come to the house. They said, we knew, we suspected, we knew, that there was something going on. Between 1960 and 1963, the world took off in development.
When did your dad give the kind of bits to the companies that they were working with? I mean,
60 to 63.
60 to 63.
Yeah. All the companies that answered my dad 50 companies answered to him 25 years later. Now, what companies, anyway, it's in the other books, I guess. What companies would answer a man writing a book 50 years later and say, yes, we remember you? What companies would do that if it wasn't true? All 50 companies that they put the artifacts into and the development answered my father, and it's in the book.
When you say answered, who made the call? The book.
My dad did.
Your dad called them?
Yeah. Yeah.
But these people would have been retired by then, would they?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They answered him. The companies answered him.
Do you think that's still going on in Silicon Valley right now?
Yeah, well, no, it's going on within the, it's going on. I'm having trouble with this book. I'd have to go get another one. It has the 50 companies in the front that answered him. They're not here. Anyway, I have a book. Oh, that's a John Glenn book. No wonder.
Oh, there's the book.
How stupid.
No, it's all right. Don't worry.
Man, I have to get that thing so bad, the book. And I just looked it up. It's so sad. So he passed away. So the guy that we're watching right now, he passed away in 2020, man. In a way, he passed away at the right time, not having to experience this BS at this present moment on the timeline of the virus that was going around. Yeah. So it's good that you skipped that part, bro. That was a good thing to do. So you could just go up in peace, man, and jump into the next experience. But so happy for him to, yeah, talk about all of that. So much value. So have to get that book.
Going crazy there.
Yeah, I know, right? We changed realities.
Yeah. All of a sudden, time travel got involved. Here they are. Yeah, there's all your companies, and they all answered to my father. Or at least the people remaining there answered them. They have record of it. Still have record of it. On the other page, too. Now, why would they answer my father?
How did they answer him? What were the answers like?
We remember you, and yes, yes, we remember the allocations are here to every one of these companies. If you search their records, came in from R&D to do the work. That's available.
That's still on their books?
Yeah.
From all those years ago?
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? Maybe Mr. Freeman should miss this page, I think, and some of the others.
Okay, so you don't think that's still going on in Silicon Valley now, that parts are being siphoned in?
I don't know.
I mean, we've made more technological jumps in this century than any other century of our existence.
Of course. I told you what Father said, exponentially,
Exponentially.
We can do anything.
This century as well.
He said we had caught that technology years ago. This was back when my father was still alive, 20 years ago. And he said we had caught that technology, all but biology.
But was this self-sacrifice to us for us to help ourselves, do you think?
I believe that.
To make it look like it was a crash, to give us the free will of, oh, what's this? Let's see if
it just crashed.
But
two accidents.
But if this was free will, if this was gifted to us, how can it be a crash? It was going to land somewhere?
Purpose crash.
That's what I'm saying. It was a purpose crash.
Yeah, of course.
For it to make it look like whoever sent it didn't do
Yeah, you can have the thing land there and then the little ETs get out and say, I'm from your future to help you. No.
That's not good. We wouldn't have believed that.
No.
We would have seen it as a negative thing.
Yeah.
But they self-sacrificed themselves.
Are they selves? I don't know. Only God can answer that. They're grown. They're clones. Is a clone, if they made a clone of you, does it have a soul? I don't know. Only God knows that. Pretty deep, huh? Mind blowing.
Yeah, bro. I feel him so bad. That's where I'm at right now. Because this is, as he said, pretty deep. Thinking about that, maybe all those UAP things are just maybe, at least part of it is us helping ourselves from the future, bro, is insane. Pretty much insane. Kind of emotional almost, dude. It's a weird feeling when you get into it pretty deep. Yeah, it's very changes a lot of things. Gives it very, very different touch. Crazy.
Try living with it.
How did you live with it?
I don't. We put it away until right now.
Why am I here?
Well, I don't need to answer that. You know. You know within yourself without an answer. Is that an answer? I'm not being cruel, I hope.
No, that's an answer.
Yeah,
that's
you can answer that.
Yeah.
You're not here just to do what we're doing now, and you know that. There's more to it.
I know that.
You're a very understood, very deep mental person, and I knew that. But I put you off in the beginning because I was very upset, and I'm still very upset at some of these so-called ufologists. They're leading us down a path that they don't know anything.
Yes, bro.
Right. Let's end this topic on that, because that's a great place to take it to, because this community is split.
Oh my God. I swear I could listen to this interview the way it is right now for days. The way they're talking, what they're covering, you can tell they're just talking straight facts. I mean, especially the son, like Phil Jr. It's crazy. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Like us having a pet, we are elevating his consciousness of service to others, just like the gifts. Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's a good way of describing things. It's that you could say they or us, whatever how you want to look at it, helping us, ourselves expanding our consciousness to grow, basically. But yeah, man, that they're talking about the community, very good thing.
They're leading us down a path that they don't know anything.
Right. Let's end this topic on that, because that's a great place to take it to, because this community is split now. I know you're not keeping up now with ufology,
I'm
right?
not.
You've done the talks, you've done the conferences years ago, right?
Yeah.
So now you've got a lot of the secret space program stuff. You know, are there bases in Antarctic? Are there, bases with this kind of stuff in there? Do you think?
Absolutely.
You think there could be?
Yeah.
There's bases.
Look at the Black Knight,
So you would say, in your truth, you would say there's potential bases which maybe are, storing stuff like this, or that's for military eyes only, whatever they're doing. Do you think we're in contact with these beings, or?
What does he mean with Black Knight, though? I don't know about the Black Knight. Oh man, I don't know. I know so little, I swear, but it's great to discover it. So also thank you, Anthony, to contribute and helping me out, man. Appreciate it a lot.
So we're in contact with extraterrestrials.
I know we are. My father had contact, and he's incapable of telling a lie. Of course.
And what did they say?
What they said, my father asked one of them, he had his gun, he was in a cave, like many times happens, told me as a young man, I can remember him saying very strange place, but he never mentioned E.T. being in there. And he drew a picture of the E.T. that was in there. And he asked him if he was friendly or enemy. And he said, neither. And he said, well, what are you here for? And he says, a new world if you can take it. And I've mentioned that before. And that is, in fact, I understand that may have been adapted into the UN as a greeting.
So it may not have been a cave. It may just his way of. It's
may
not
not
a cave.
have been,
I mean, a cave doesn't make any sense, does it? Or let's just go in a cave and that's going to be. Do you know what I mean? This
mysterious place or caves.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But this probably wasn't a cave.
Right.
This was probably somewhere much more formal.
Could be
a new world, and a new world could be where they've come from, maybe. But the Eben that he spoke to, where did it? Was it from the future?
There is no future.
No.
Okay. To answer your question,
was it from another parallel universe?
That's the answer, because my father said it was one on the ground. He was flying back in the puddle jumper from White Sands to El Paso, actually from Red Canyon. He developed that on his own because they didn't want to know that the nukes were in White Sands. So he developed that on his own. They went up there and they fired. They had the first 12-foot-12 shot, took them to Europe and such. And it was like the Dirty Dozen. These were all rejects. And my father took them in and made them number one. So that's another story. But he would fly there in this little puddle jumper, and he saw a bright, shiny object on the ground. So he got in one of the big Jeeps, you know, like staff cars, and drove back there. And he says he sees this thing sitting on the ground, and it's going in and out of time. It's going, disappears, comes back. And he says, am I delusional? What the hell is it? So he says he throws a tumbleweed underneath of it. When the thing comes back, disappears again, the tumbleweed's all smashed, so he knew it was real. He sees these little footprints in my hair stand, sees these little footprints in the sand. And all of a sudden, he goes into a panic. And he flies backwards, get in the staff car and flies backwards again. He says, all of a sudden, the thing goes like this and disappears into a donut.
Why did he have that experience?
I don't know. There was no communication, no nothing.
But why that experience? Is that to show him?
I don't know.
No, and do you think,
I don't think maybe it wasn't meant for him.
Do you think
maybe it was an accident.
If he had been regressed, then something else could have. Do you think there was an implant in memory that actually something else happened then?
Yeah, I can't answer that right now.
No.
Not right now.
No. Okay. So they are, but how much control do they have over society, do you think, of where we are now?
Well, I believe there's 5 levels of control.
Where are they in their levels?
Before God.
So they are in and above the military?
Yeah, the great military complex, the secret society or the bankers, and then the one you're taught in school, which is
but obviously most research is about the nuts and bolts. When you was in the UFO community, the research was much about nuts and bolts, right? Now that's gone to more of consciousness-based research, right? So
that's because we're learning, if I may interrupt, that's because we're learning more about the universe. We're learning more and more and more and more. And as we learn more about the universe, we realize how much the mental ability goes into it because of what we don't know, how magnificent it is.
Right. And do you think it's teeming with life out there?
Oh, absolutely. We know that.
But
we know that now.
But again, they're not coming here to say, hey, they're
part of the consciousness.
Yeah, we're part of them, they're part of us.
This is an embryo, the Earth, and it's growing, okay? And as it grows, more and more elements come, unupinium, more things become available. Are we not ready yet to join the community? I don't know.
But they say that when Roswell happened, there was an attraction for them to come because that's when the atomic. But
my dad knew Olbert real well, father of the atomic bomb, real well, very well. And you know what he says? People don't know about this. When there's an atomic explosion, you see the mushroom crowd come up, right? Well, that's only part of the energy. They all know. He figured out that the rest of the energy goes down through the Earth, through the center, into another dimension. And that's what they're excited about. Energy that into another dimension that doesn't belong there. The atomics, when you measure the energy, it's only part of what should be yielded.
If they were from our future trying to evolve us in a way, right? What's that going to...
Another dimension, not future. Another dimension. Well, you could call the future a dimension, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about M theory, multiple dimensions.
But if they're us from the future, say if we've said in this interview, maybe they sacrificed themselves so that we would gain this technology for us to evolve, which makes them evolve.
Possibly.
Why are they then, if we're then saying, well, because the atomic bomb went off, then they're like, oh, look at the kids got matches, let's go see him. That's a different theory for why they crashed then.
Yeah. I'm not exactly following you.
Well, look, no, I'm saying if when we had the atomic bomb, it was like, oh, the kids have got matches.
Yes.
Right. If they came back to see us because of they've came here to observe us, now we've got the matches. That's a different reason for them coming here to sacrifice themselves to give this technology to us.
Right.
Which one's true?
Without the technology, though, you may not be able to control that energy.
So it came at that time because that's when it was meant to come. Right.
Could be. I don't know that. I'm just
going
brainstorming.
No, absolutely. Going back to where the UFO there's many UFO researchers out there, and they've all got their niche, and they've all got their own truth agenda, their own agenda. That's a better way of saying it. And then you've got there's so many agendas, and then people listening to this will say, well, this is you and your dad's agenda is this, right? So who do they listen to? Is it the discernment inside they listen to?
I'm not out. I have the book here because we still get royalties from it, and that's great. Do I need them? No. Does many of the people out there? All you got to do is follow the money. On every one of the researchers, follow the money, and you will see if they're telling the truth or not. It's that simple. And most of them, I don't go to the conferences anymore. I go about every 4 or 5 years just to see if there's a change. There have been no change.
What change would you like to see?
Truth.
Whose truth?
Well, not from them. Not from them. But a truth that there is more to our existence than just looking for money, looking for fame, looking for other things that humans look for. And what I would like to see out here is that, first of all, that my father is truth. Not all of it in here. Some of it's been fantasized. But I'd like to see the truth of what's in that black bag over there. That was my father's legacy that has been left. Because I believe without that legacy, the earth might be a different place right now. What if the technology is true in here that's been given? What if it had never been given? Where would we be?
Where would we be?
My father says 200 years behind. We would not have this conversation. He's 200 years advancement.
Or more?
Yeah, and they said, can we handle it? General Trudeau, my dad never knew the answer. They were afraid of it. They were afraid that technology might be misused. My father would lay there in the hospital dying, and he would tell people that machine is because of me. They thought my father was delusional, but he's telling the truth. Yeah. Now, it hurts me to see people go against this, but I understand it. It has to be, because for the truth to come out, you have to have the other side. There has to be the conflict. The earth is a place of conflict, as we all know, and it has to be there.
Is there inner earth beings?
Very, very, I don't know.
I only ask that because I'm interviewing Corey Good soon, and I'm like,
there had to be, in my opinion, there had to be a model for the EB. I would think there had to be a model.
Right, that's interesting. That's an interesting answer.
Yeah. And we have his DNA. We've had it for a long time.
Whose DNA? Oh, yes.
Since 1947 or before, even some crashes, we've had his DNA. But we didn't know it was DNA then, did we?
No.
But now we do.
And what's happening with that DNA now, I wonder?
You can grow them. I know they've been grown, but that's another story.
Okay.
They're grown right now.
We're coming to the end of this interview here. You've given us more than enough time right now, and I really appreciate it.
Certainly.
This has been one of my most fascinating interviews recently. What last message would you like to give the audience?
Have an open mind. Don't believe everything that you hear or see. Most of us strive to move forward. But we have to remember one thing. God created us all equal. And the differences between us, every race, is only a fraction. But we strive as human beings to perpetuate that tiny difference. And it ends up in war, it ends up in all types of conflict. The earth does not have to be a place of conflict. And if you just believe in some of this, not the technology part, not the UFO part, but there are other realms that maybe would like to see us survive. The Drake equation, how many destroy themselves, how many societies. We don't have to destroy ourselves. Take a look at that difference and realize what it is. We all want the same thing. We want our children to grow better than us.
And could you say, just ending this as well, I want to ask this, when we talk about, you talked about there's other realities, but could there be many other realities?
I believe so.
Many other Earths?
I believe so.
Us doing this in some other form, but the same timeline, but doing it a little bit differently?
The ripple.
Yep.
If this one goes to hell, it affects the others. And that's what the atomic explosions we were talking about a minute ago. If they take place in partially the energy in another dimension, the ripple.
And what does that energy do to other dimensions that don't? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it changes things, right?
Yeah.
Well, look, Phil, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
You bent my mind a little bit, right?
It's not easy. It's not easy, and you can easily trick yourself into believing things that aren't true. I understand that. Perpetual liars, and such like that. But it does hurt me that some of these people out there can't come down to earth and realize that it is, in my opinion, a benevolent universe.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Come again.
Damn. Well, this was one hell of a good interview, guys. Oh my god. I'm blown away, to be honest, at this point. I gotta need some time to digest all of this info. And it did resonate with me like crazy. I swear. I think it's pretty rare that it's almost never. I gotta say, the interview with Mark McCandlish also gave me the same vibes, man. The same vibes. In terms of authenticity, right? That I trust this guy. Yeah, Anthony, definitely a good one. As I said, man, a lot of interviews with many people, I don't trust them, bro. As I said, on Jesse Michaels, Area 52, man, there are so many people that just talk BS and they just want to sell their book. And, there is so much disinfo in this whole thing. And that, yeah... As I said, we have JD Vance now also talking about like aliens are just demons, and no. I feel like this is leading you into a totally different state of mind, and this guy is onto something big, or he was onto something big. Well, he knows a lot, and I'm glad he did that interview for us, being able to watch it. Wow. I wonder if there's more from this guy that I don't know of, because this was like, I think 9 years ago now, the interview. I'm just gonna check. I think it was 9 interview. Yeah, so 2018, man. Crazy, 8 years. Okay, so time is running pretty fast. I wish this guy would have written a book. I don't know if that guy wrote a book about what he knew even more. Probably not. But this is insane. Amazing. I feel like I don't want to add too much to that thing anymore. I'm just gonna let it be there. And yeah. Ah, you also do not have that book? I thought you have it already. But yeah, man, dude, seriously, this book. And it's, dude, the fact that he's even saying that maybe, I think he said the first 2 chapters of this book are like, don't have to take it that serious, because he had to write this kind of disinfo about the technology into it, but the rest is kind of authentic, or pretty authentic. It's crazy. Like, this is why would you say that if you just try to sell a book, because he said he gets money from it in terms of royalty. But, you know, this is more than being authentic. Like, you can't be more authentic than this. Great guy. I wonder if his son or someone from his family is gonna come up with stuff, but maybe not, because you have a lot of enemies, especially these days with this huge UFO, let's say, sponsored community. Peter Thiel vibes, you know, Elizondo, Corbell, I don't know. There's so many people where, let's say, you have to be careful to say it friendly. It's there's a war of information going on. Pretty crazy stuff. Nice, man. So yeah, we made it. We made it. So also, Anthony, dude, if you have any recommendations for another interview or something that you feel like would be good to cover, let me know, bro. Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you so much for being around. And everyone else that might jump into the stream afterwards, thank you so much for watching, man. Really, that helps me a lot. Definitely gonna do more live streams. Just have to, you know, find the time to do it every now and then. Sometimes more difficult, sometimes more easy. Great one though, great one. Something to think about. Well, that's it for now. Hope you have a great day, guys. Hope you have a great day, Anthony. And I'm gonna see you in the next video. Well, either live stream or video. Not sure what will come next though, but we'll see. We'll see. Find out. And yeah, man. Till then, guys, it's let's see what happens, man. Maybe aliens.gov is gonna drop soon. We will see. Which is also gonna be about aliens, pretty much. Well, that's at least what we think. According to the White House spokeswoman, she said, "Stay tuned" with an alien emoji to the address aliens.gov, which is crazy. So yeah, crazy times we're living in. And gotta say one more time though, watching this interview from 2018 and now seeing, you know, this topic about Trump being a time traveler, trying to bring maybe humanity into a better future with all these weird books of Ingersoll Lockwood with the adventures of little Baron Trump and stuff like that, is kind of, you could say, a pattern that maybe makes more sense than we all can even imagine, man. This is crazy, dude. It's, if this thing turns out to be as it is, as I'm thinking it could be, you cannot even make a movie out of this because it's so big. It's insane. Anyways, you can see my brain is just all right. Well, you're welcome, Anthony. Appreciate you. Have a good one. And as always, have a good time with the loved ones, guys. And I'm gonna see you in the next stream, in the next video.